Okay. All right. Awesome. All right. Let me know if you're seeing this fine. Okay, good times. Now we're getting people from Periscope jumping on. All right, this is good stuff. All right, everybody. It's great to see all of you. It's Wednesday, which means it's Build with Me. Again, thank you so much for joining. If this is the first time you're watching, this is a program where we build businesses with no-code apps within 1 hour. And I have a pleasure to be with a guest star today, and I would like to introduce him. First of all, who do I have the pleasure to be with today?
It's Jose Cotto here from True Reply. It's great to be here. I'm excited to have some fun today.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. People are already saying hey in the chat. Janet, hey. Thanks for being here. Erica, look, people just popping up all over the place. So this is really special. Now, remember in the chat, and if you did not get the email, I'm going to drop the link right now. We're going to be talking about True Reply today. So I have an expert about True Reply right here. So I'm not going to introduce the product. Jose, I want you to take it away, and I'm going to share my screen and show off what True Reply is. But I'd love for you to tell the audience what it is, capabilities, and all of those things. And in the chat, listen, because as you're trying to build your business, this could be a perfect platform for you. So I'll let you take it away.
Awesome. It's great to see everyone today, or at least to be here. I can't see you. But, the quick elevator pitch for what we're bringing with True Reply is we make it super easy and possible to launch, manage, and analyze voice experiences like voice applications in like 15 minutes or less. And we're actually going to play with that a little bit today. We're going to launch a couple of voice experiences so you can see kind of how it works, how easy it is, how fast it is. And we can definitely go in depth with whatever questions you have and explore the world of voice.
Okay, good times. Now, some might be here for the first time. They're like, we have no idea what the capabilities or what voice can even do. Could you talk about a little bit of the impact or why this would be important for a business?
Yeah, absolutely. And let's first start with what does it mean when we say voice, right? What it means, what we're talking about is really voice assistants more than anything else. And they come in various forms. It could be Siri on your phone. It could be Amazon Alexa on a smart speaker or Google Assistant on a smart speaker. You're even finding Amazon Alexa and Google Assistant. They're getting their ways into your car, into appliances, into earbuds. So it really is an emerging technology that is moving a lot faster than most people realize. I think at the last study, we're looking at about 34% of US households alone have at least one smart speaker, with 70% of those having almost 2.5 smart speakers. And that's just looking at smart speakers. That's not taking into account, Amazon Alexa in your eyeglasses and your rings, Siri on your phone. And when you take all those, everywhere where voice assistants can actually be found beyond just the smart speaker, you're really looking at, 1 billion devices worldwide. It's the kind of opportunity for businesses, small and large, for brands to, it's kind of like one of those blue ocean opportunities to pitch your flag and really start building your services and brands across this channel that is just exploding.
Did that awesome help? No, that's perfect. And by the way, Edmund's in the house talking about this. Edmund, we were talking about voice not too long ago about one of your projects. So this is for you. I already see you watching on Periscope. This is great. So perfect timing to jump in. And Edmund, if you want to talk about a scenario or different ways you would want to use voice or the power of it, let me know as well. So this is perfect time. You've got C-level executives answering your questions right now. Come on now. So this is really good. Also, too, make sure that in the comment section down below, if you have a specific scenario how you want to use this, let us know. I'm getting a couple questions right now, so I'm just adding this. Jose, you don't have to say this right now, but some people are asking, could this work to create a listing for my clients? What it has to do with different. Okay. They're trying to do e-commerce and provide their audience different products that they should go drop ship. Could they possibly have like, oh wow, okay, this is very detailed. So they're talking about API connections of Alibaba products. Could they actually send it out to their audience and things like that? Is that even possible?
Yeah, and that's actually a great question to lead off with, mostly because it gives me a chance to speak about how we think about TrueReply, right? Which is, we've built this, more than anything, we've built this platform not for engineers, not for the geeks, not for those kind of folks. We've actually built it really for the front office, non-technical people, the people that are closest to the customer, the people that understand the customers and the brands and the products they're selling, but don't have the technical know-how. That's what TrueReply is really intended. That's who it's really intended for. And so everything we've built and designed kind of exists. And Doc, you've heard me say this already half a dozen times over the last few weeks, but everything we've built it with kind of a spectrum, right? With this in mind, in the sense that on far left of that spectrum is simpler kind of things, right? Customer feedback, maybe some basic audio delivery, some basic video delivery, that kind of stuff. And as you move across the spectrum, we open up more and more features to create more and more dynamic experiences, which includes webhooks and APIs. We've got a native integration with Zapier, which just, we're actually, I'm hoping to touch on that because it really amplifies the kind of things you can do on the far left of that spectrum without even needing an API. You could just use Zapier kind of thing. But we do have full API support. We have a private API that we provide our customers. We've got also a kind of a toned down version of the API, which we call webhooks. When you start getting into that spectrum, you kind of start separating yourself a little bit from the no code, as you know, because now you're dealing with APIs and that kind of stuff. But the functionality is definitely there, and it helps us on that spectrum go from the very simple to the very interesting, dynamic kind of stuff.
Excellent. Thank you so much. No, this is perfect. One more before we jump in. We've got some questions. Edmund's jumping in. He's like, oh, Zaps with voice. Tell me more. That's what he's saying. So you've got a fan on that. And then also he says, how does it compare? He said, sorry to bring up competition, but how does this compare to Zamo.ai? If you're familiar with it, you can talk about it. If not, I can go a rundown really quick of what it is, but yeah, that's one of the questions before we jump into this build.
This is an opportunity for me to learn, so educate me. I don't know about Zamo. Definitely know about some of the other players in the space where we directly compete against, and I can speak to why, what really makes us different than those. And honestly, if you're familiar with folks like, obviously you're familiar with Zamo, so you'll actually, maybe after I give you a peek into how to launch a voice experience, you can tell us, how it differentiates. But you're gonna learn very quickly what makes TrueReply different and unique compared to most any other platform. And it really is going to be the idea that you can sit down and in 15 minutes flat, set up your voice application. It's gonna take less for us, by the way, today. But set up your voice application, test it and launch it. So it's not like a prototyping platform. It's not that kind of stuff. It's where you can actually set it up, launch it, and have it, live in Amazon Alexa within, we had a situation last week where I was doing a demo for a client, and I set it up and I accidentally hit the submit button, right, to submit to Amazon. And I'm thinking to myself, I've got like 24 hours, 48 hours. That's the usual turnaround. Before I was done with the meeting, the app was approved, and I had to go in there and fix things up and stuff. So it can actually get live very quickly, but on average, it's about 24 to 48 hours, from the time you hit that button to launch to when it's actually available to customers and users.
Okay, good time. So this is excellent. By the way, Max is in the house from 100 Days of No Code. He says, what's up? This is great. Max. So bringing that audience over, thanks so much for supporting the show, Max. And this is going to be great for your audience as well. So we're going to go right into it. We'll talk about what we're going to be building. And again, Edmund, I got you. We'll talk about Zaps. If you want to talk about a very specific case or more about Zaps, as we go through this, maybe we'll see a tie-in. But if you want something, Edmund, let us know over there. I see some people on Twitch. Thank you so much for joining the chat and everything. And of course, our everyone on YouTube holding it down. I see you over there, Janet and Erica. Thank you so much for moderating and talking to everyone. You know, we're using StreamYard, so I don't have all my sound effects. You know how I usually have my horn and my all that going on. But, you know, we've got a new setup today. So we're going to get right into it. Jose, if you don't mind, I'm going to talk about, can I talk about the project we're going to build and talk about that and then go into it?
Yeah, definitely. I would, the way I was thinking about it, and let me know if you want to still spin it that way, was,
Sure.
you know, let's do kind of like a very kind of super fast launch of something, and then we'll dive into the surprise that you're about to talk about. Does that make sense?
I love it. I love it. I'm going to let you take it from here. If you want to have control and share screen, everything, you just tell me what you need, man. I'm here.
Yeah, let me, I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to get into this platform now. Let me know as soon as you can see it.
Hold on one second. Add to stream. There we go.
Can you see the screen all right?
Yep, looks great. By the way, John Scott in the house, thank you so much. Also, Janet saying, can you please share your Notion doc? I will do that. And yeah, let's go. Yeah, you're all set. Everyone's ready, and they're watching, man.
Awesome, awesome. So let's dive in here. One of the things you'll find is we go through, we kind of theme our updates around different things. So like, you know, the fourth quarter of 2020, we called our Bridge series, because that's really where we brought in Zapier and that integration. And we really helped you use voice to bridge into their over 2,000 apps, right? Which we're going to talk about. Right now, during the first quarter of 2021, we're into our Ocean series. And we picked Ocean because this quarter of updates and our focus from the platform side is all about kind of transparency of data and understanding of voice applications. And we're going to, I'll come back around to that, but I wanted to explain a little bit why we've got some fishes flying around here. And you can learn more about the Ocean series just by clicking this link here. But starting off with that, let's log in. And we're going to dive right into the dashboard here, which for now, I'm going to ignore, make believe you don't see it. We'll come back to this in a second. We're going to dive right into launching an app. Now, it's a very simple kind of wizard flow to launch your app. We've got a couple of different options in what you can launch with TrueReply, which is what you're seeing on this first screen. We're going to focus on the first option, which is launching a voice experience, a voice application, something that would go out to Amazon Alexa or Google Assistant or even Samsung Bixby. That's that first option. Those other two, we don't have to spend a ton of time on. Essentially, you can either launch a very basic voice survey, which we can definitely come back around to if there's any interest on that, or you can launch essentially what would be a voice application for Amazon Alexa, except for what we call telephone voice. Think of it as, you know, the next generation of IVR. But what we're going to do today is just focus on the voice assistant side. So I'm going to click that option and we're going to dive right in here. And as I mentioned before, let's start on the far left of that spectrum, right? The easy stuff, something that's quick and easy, something that, you know, 90% of businesses out there, whether you're selling product or services, might make use of, could make use of these devices today. One such example, actually what you're seeing here before I pick out the exact example, is we've got basically, there's a couple of ways you can dive into this. You can select a template, right? Which is what we're offering there, is kind of giving you a starting point, giving you, you know, making it even that much easier to get to your end result that you're looking for. Or you can you know, select kind of a custom experience. And along the way, you'll see there's links, there's, you know, information icons that you can click to find out a little bit more. But most of the stuff is pretty straightforward. So what I want to do is just far left, something any business could use, anyone could use the Amazon Alexa or Google Assistant for today. Let's do that first one, which is customer feedback, right? So, you know, let's say you're an accountant and you'd love to collect some feedback, or, you know, a hairdresser or whatever it is, something to put your brand's name on these devices and enable your customers to just basically tell you what they thought about your service. So we're going to name this. So we're going to step through this and give you a little bit of information about each step, but I'm not going to deep dive into it. So if you have specific questions about a step, shoot it over. But this starts off with, what are we calling our voice app, right? What's going to be called? This has two purposes. One, when we actually launch it to these devices, each of these devices has several ways of app discovery or discovering your voice experience, which can totally talk about, as one of the things today is how does your voice experience get discovered. So, but once you launch your app, this is your name of your app, kind of like the name of your mobile app, which is really, kind of when you're trying to draw correlations to what you understand, these voice apps are the same kind of apps that are on your mobile phone. So we're just going to call this Jen's Plumbing. Jen's a plumber. She's going to do some customer feedback kind of stuff. And this is going to be her customer feedback app. All right, that description, that summary, that just helps you identify it within your dashboard, which we'll get back to in a second. And we're going to step through here. Next up, and this is super important when it comes to voice, and kind of as an asterisk, I invite everyone here that's kind of interested in voice technology, what it could mean for your business, to visit our blog, because we've published a ton of content primarily focused on getting people to understand how to leverage voice for their brands, their services, and their products. So I definitely urge you to check that out, because what your voice application sounds like is super important, right? We always kind of encourage and kind of cheer for the personally sounding, authentic sounding voice experience. What I mean by that is, instead of picking that default voice, the Alexa voice or the Google Assistant voice, attaching your voice, your brand's voice to your voice experience. That's really the kind of the epitome of these voice experiences, and that's what we're letting you do here. You can pick what your voice experience is going to sound like. Are you that first option, the device voice? Are you going to leverage just the Amazon Alexa voice, or are you going to record your own audio and we're going to use that to drive our voice experience, which we're actually going to play around with today as well, or something that we're introducing soon, which is why it's coming soon there, is our voice ambassadors, which is, actually within this platform, you can select your voice ambassador, enter kind of typing in all of your information, your messaging, your engagement, the kind of stuff we're going to go through right now. And our voice ambassadors, which is powered by Inter VoiceOver, one of the largest, most professional voice production companies in Europe, they will handle everything having to do with the audio recording, very professional, very authentic sounding recordings for your voice experience to properly reflect your brand. Something to talk about later, but let's dive into device voice. Again, we're going to start at that far left. We're going to play around with this upload your audio in the next experience, but we're going to start with device voice. Let's go through this. Now it's going to take you through what we call the engagement plan, right? This is everything from, what's the first thing your customer is going to hear when they launch your voice experience? What is the voice experience? And then what's the last thing they're going to hear when they're done with your voice experience? So what you're seeing here is kind of the basics, which is, what's that welcome message? What are they going to hear, right? What are they going to hear when they first launch that voice experience? So I'm going to just change this to, we're talking about Jen's Plumbing, and we're excited to hear your feedback today. Are you ready to get started? So like I picked this template before to get all this stuff pre-filled to just make it a little easier. It's all editable. We've got some best practices, which again, you can find in our blog, and I'm sure one of those posts covers best practices for this stuff. There's different things that you should leverage in different ways to really amplify things. But we're going to just kind of flow through this. We've got our welcome message. I'm going to kind of leave the welcome message as it is. The help message. At any point in time in your voice experience, a customer can say help, and this is what they hear. And for this area, you can put information about your product or service, information about you, and then some basic information about navigating your voice experience. Like, for example, you can say repeat at any time to hear a question again or a message again. or that kind of stuff. Since we're doing customer feedback, I'm actually going to leave it as a question. You get to hear a question again. We're going to go through here. Then we've got your thank you message. This is, they're done. They've completed their experience. This is the thank you message. This is what they're going to hear when they're done. There's also kind of like, and I'm sure you've done this if you've played around with these devices. You've gone, you've started it up and then you've said exit or stop, and you haven't quite completed the experience, but you're jumping out for something else or because you got to go. This early exit message kind of plays out, lets them hear this when they do that early, when they jump from your voice experience before they've actually completed it. Next is the most important part. These are kind of like your engagement steps, right? We're going to go about this a lot differently in our next voice example, but since this is customer feedback, we're basically going to ask them some questions about how they felt about our services. We've got 5 in here. You need at least 1, right? But you can have as many as you'd like. I'm going to just tap out a couple of these just to keep it at 3. And we can add as many as we want. We can leave it to just about 1. So this is our, I've launched this voice experience for Jen's Plumbing. Please provide us your feedback. Yes, I want to provide it. And then we're going to go through, we're going to ask them for their feedback and get through that. So we've just wrapped up the engagement, what that voice experience is going to be like. And now we're diving into kind of like the activation, installation, discovery aspects of your voice experience. So the first thing is the invocation name. So this is like, what your mobile app is going to be called on the device, similar to how your mobile app is going to be called on a mobile phone, except this is the one where, hey, Alexa, launch this kind of thing. So we're going to call it just plumbing feedback for now. And it actually does some automated validation. If you're launching on Amazon Alexa or you're launching a Google Assistant, it's good to know kind of best practices kind of stuff. One of those is, for example, there's certain words you can't use in your invocation. So like you can't use Alexa, for example, as part of your invocation. You can't use app in there. There's a few in there, and you can get a full list simply by clicking this eye icon here. If I do something like, add app to that, I'm going to get a red flag, and I can click here to get more information. But basically, that's what that validation is doing. It's just making sure at the bottom level, the bottom validation step of this experience, is it, have you called it something that's not going to get flagged by Amazon, essentially. These next couple of steps, they're basic kind of metadata stuff, right? Think of it as SEO for your website. This is how someone might search for this voice application, on the Amazon Alexa directory, on Google Assistants directory, that kind of stuff. So I'm just going to write in here, customer feedback for Jen's Plumbing. How are we doing over there, Doc? Can you still, are we doing good?
This is good. I'm getting a lot of questions. Some people are saying, but what about examples? We'll get to examples in a second. It's really important to go through this. But everyone's saying, wow, they love how it already has the everything set up, the best practices. Some people are asking also in chat, could they be using this for healthcare or HIPAA compliant as well? So yeah, people
Yeah, let's come back to that. This is just going to take another minute to finish this up. Click the launch button, and we can tackle some of those questions while we wait for validation. We've got some, the comma. These are your keywords. Again, similar to your website. This is just kind of discoverability kind of stuff. So I'm going to put in here, plumbing, business, services. So this is just the kind of stuff that they might search for. Finally, you're going to need an app icon. And this is, similar to your icon on your, mobile phone app, your voice application needs an icon. It's what gets displayed on a screen device, which I have one here, which is what we're going to be using to test this right now. And it's also what displays in the application directories whenever this gets published. There is actually more than one image. There's quite a few. But we've simplified this for you, and all you have to do is kind of upload one image to act as your voice app icon. It does have some restrictions. It's got to be 512 pixels by 512 pixels in PNG format or PNG format. As long as you've got that uploaded, our platform will take care of sizing those for all the other uses that we need it for when it goes live on a platform. All you have to do is provide that one icon. So this is our basic metadata stuff. And this is the final step here. This is essentially where people are going to be accessing this application from. It's super important, especially in this setup step, right? Where we're just spinning this up. We're going to test it out, that you pick the same location that you are in, because you want it accessible to you for when you go to test it. And so if you want that changed later, you can always ask our experience specialists. That's what these little blue bubbles on the bottom left are. I've got this voice app. I'd like it to be in this region, that kind of stuff. We can totally take care of that for you without any trouble. You will find just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 countries listed here, but those are the most requested countries. Those are where our customers are launching voice apps now. The platform supports much more. I think we're up to 110 countries with a little asterisk. The asterisk being you can launch anywhere that Amazon Alexa or Google Assistant is supported. But we do support 120 languages across 110 countries. So that's that first. We're just going to set up what country we're launching this in. You also have to select kind of like your skill category. This is just, what is this voice experience that you're launching? Is it a game? Is it something business focused? That kind of stuff. That's really what we're looking for here. I'm going to select business and finance because that's kind of what it is. It's a customer feedback for my business kind of stuff. The next question is this for 13 years or younger? I'm going to say no. We can come back to that if people are interested in launching voice experiences for kids. You can totally come back to that. Then you've got your privacy policy link and your terms of service link. You got to provide those, and I'm just popping in, our TrueApply website, but it really should point to your website's privacy policy and terms of service. Then we're going to click. Now we're going to jump into the setup and test step of this. So in order to do this, you just want to log in. You're going to click the login button here, and you want to make sure you just use a login that is linked to whatever device you want to test on at that point in time. That's what's going to kind of enable that next step, which is testing. So once you log in, what you're seeing here is we've set up the package in TrueApply. We've sent that package to Amazon, and we're just going to wait. It takes about 90 seconds for this to verify. Doc, we can answer some questions during that time, or I can give you a look at the dashboard. What do you want to do?
All right. People are saying, I need these questions answered. Let's just give the people what they want real quick. So a couple of things. Number one, for use cases, do you think this would be used also for ones trying to market their business? How could they use something like this to market their business? That's a big question I keep seeing over and over again.
Yeah, that's actually a great question. And it ties into one of the most prolific questions we get, which is, how do we drive awareness? How do people discover our voice experience? That kind of stuff. The practical reality of today, right, for these voice devices is that don't think of them as marketing channels, right? They're not the kind of channel like, for example, you might go to Facebook and launch a Facebook ad, or, you might run Google ads. You don't launch a voice experience today to be discovered. The real power in a voice experience today is in building brand, driving awareness, and driving relationships. Those 3 checkboxes. I wouldn't consider the platform yet, as of today, as a real marketing kind of thing. You're not going to launch something, get discovered in one of these directories, and all of a sudden your business sees sales skyrocket. Voice experiences are really more about awareness and relationships. So once you launch one, you've got to now include that voice experience into all of your marketing efforts, which we can definitely talk about how TrueApply makes that a lot easier than some other channels might.
I love it. So real quick, if I could just say, if you say for the ones asking for exact examples, now you can be doing this with TrueApply. I'm giving you 2. One is we had a friend that ran a CrossFit gym, and they were trying to figure out how could they connect with their audience if they weren't in the gym. They had a daily WOD or workout of the day. if you're away from the gym, you could still ask for the workout, and it would tell you the workout that you could just be doing in your house or something like that. So I thought that was interesting. The other one was a brand. I think I don't dye my hair that much, so it's a brand where they tell you it's they were talking about instructions for you to how you would dye your hair so you wouldn't have to look at a manual, or how I think Ty did this, how to take out a stain and how you would do that without needing to hold a lot of objects. So like, hey, how do I take out ketchup from my outfit? This is it. How do I take out this kind of stain? So it was the association with the brand, and now I'm always calling the voice experience with that kind of brand. So that's just two things real quick.
Totally. And we're actually going to those last few examples you just gave. They rub right up against the kind of functionality we're going to do with the next voice experience, right? So once we put that together, let's test this out. Let's answer more questions, and then let's move further along that spectrum of complexity to launch that next voice experience. Because I think when the folks see that and how that interaction plays out, it really, it starts to open up minds in all those areas you just touched on.
Cool. Awesome.
So
I'm ready.
Some of our conversations, which is
yep.
We've had some ideas come out of.
Yes.
So as we can see here, our app is set up. It's verified with Amazon, and we can actually test it right now on our device. So we can now go in, test the entire experience. If we don't like the way something sounds, or if we don't like the way something flows, we can just click the previous button, get to that section you want to update it, test again till you get it just right, and then you can hit your launch button. So very quickly, I'm going to let you listen to what this voice experience we just put together sounds like. And this is my little Echo device. Funny tidbit is my oldest daughter's name is Alexa. So when we got our first device in our house, which is like 2014 or so, we found out in about 30 seconds flat that wasn't going to work because every time we're talking to our oldest daughter, these things started answering. So now we call them, I think the general household name for them is Echo. So let's dive in here. Echo, open plumbing feedback. I don't know if you can see that, if you're going to see the reflection of the snow.
Welcome to Jen's Plumbing. We are excited to hear your feedback today. Are you ready to get started?
Yes.
How do you feel about the services you received today?
I love them. They were great.
How could we improve our services?
Deliver fresh donuts.
On a scale of 1 to 5, how likely are you to use our services again?
5.
Thank you for leaving us your feedback. We truly value your feedback. Have a wonderful day.
So that's it. In just a matter of minutes, and probably not a lot of that description and kind of the tour side of this experience, you've launched your voice experience. Jen now has a fully functional customer feedback voice experience in her arsenal, available on Amazon Alexa. So the next step there, now again, if I wanted to change something like a question or something like that, I just hit previous, I go back to that step, I update that question, come back, test it again. And then once I'm happy with it and ready to go, I just click next. You get a summary of what you've set up and what your order basically looks like. It is a monthly fee unless you're, it's a monthly fee. We've got 3 tiers on our platform. One is the startup tier, agency tier, and enterprise. So whichever tier you're on, you've got that monthly fee. I happen to be going in through my account, which is an agency account. So I don't actually pay for anything here because it's covered under my monthly fee. I can just click order now. If, however, I was on that startup tier, then you'd have an option here to pick either an annual or a monthly payment. It's always cancel anytime. It's 14 days guaranteed, all that good stuff. And once you select which, if you're doing annual or monthly, You'd click next and put in your credit card information, hit order now. And what you would see next is the same thing I'm going to see here. So I'm going to click order now. And now it's launching. It's taking me to the launch pad. And what's happening here is we're moving your voice experience out of this test environment, right, that we were kind of playing in, and putting it into a production environment. You don't need to hang out here. You can come back later and check this out some other time. You can just click launch later. Your voice app status will update on your dashboard. And that's what we're seeing here. Doc, do you want to hit me with some more questions? Do you want me to dive into a little bit of the dashboard functionality before we create the next voice experience? What would you like to do?
You know what? I usually just let the audience take it from here and see what they want. A lot of times what I'm seeing is people are saying that they're just excited how fast it was able to launch. They're up and running. Yeah, so this is great. I think showing more experiences and showing the power of it. If they want to hear about dashboards, this crowd will chime in. So
Awesome.
if anyone wants to see admin, let me know. But let's go to the next experience or level it up like that.
Awesome. Before we dive into that, what we try to do with True Reply is check off 3 big boxes. One is launching that voice experience. It's got to be fast. It's got to be easy. It's got to be easy to get started, to get it on the device. That's what we just did now. The second box is kind of like that management side of it, right? It's your dashboard. It's real-time management. It's knowing what's going on with your voice experience so that you can make it better. It's making it easy to make that voice experience better. That's that second checkbox. And then the third checkbox is all about kind of how do we help you make it easier to drive awareness to your voice application. So I'm mentioning that because if you've got questions on any of those latter 2 points, throw them out there. If not, we'll dive into the next voice experience, which I'm actually just gonna, toss the ball over to Doc here so that he can share with you his Notion doc, and we can talk about what this next voice experience is going to be.
All right, excellent. Real quick, Erica's talking about this is great stuff. She asks, I can see this being used for all service-based businesses like courses or summits as well. Yeah, Erica, I mean, I see this being powerful. I mean, so Erica, a little bit of background. She's a consultant. She helps ones to launch their summits or courses. She's great with that, uses a lot of different tech. So, I mean, and Jose, you tell me, but I hear it as like, again, reinforcement of experiences of different things you could be doing for the summit or conferences, having a voice experience. And then after the summit, having a rating system or feedback, how well you enjoyed the summit, and then probably pointing to the next steps, what they should be doing with your brand after the summit. What do you think?
Yeah, there's a couple of different, when we're talking about summit or events, there's a couple of different ways that we plug right in, right? You've got our platform allows you to manage these voice experiences in real time. And what I mean by that is you can change questions, you can reorder them, you can change messaging, you can do all that stuff in real time, and it takes effect immediately. So that functionality is unique to like summits and live events, right? Because you can kind of, daisy chain or connect your voice experience directly to what's going on in your summit at a specific amount of time. So that's my first thought there. And my second thought is when we're talking about summits or events and you've got like your breakout sessions, voice is a great way to reinforce a breakout session, right? You can have something that is a self-driving voice experience that amplifies or helps reinforce something you covered in a breakout session. So I'm sure thought leaders love that aspect of it. And then again, as you touched, you've got all the opportunity for collecting feedback and that kind of stuff.
Good times. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right. So keep the questions coming. These are great, guys. These are great. By the way, all my Twitch people, I see you in chat too. So we didn't forget about you. If you have any questions, I know, or come on over to the other room in YouTube. But again, on Twitch, if you have any questions, how you're going to be doing this as well, I see you over there. And again, thank you so much for everyone jumping in and out on Periscope as well. So real quick, I wanted to show this is part of the new Brand Factory OS, which is the Brand Factory operating system. You'll get more details on that coming soon. The memberships, all that kind of great stuff. But remember, everyone, this is the exact structure we use to help our clients, our students, and everything. So why is this important? Why are we talking about this when it comes to True Reply? So Jose, let me know. He's like, build an experience. What would you do? In our program, from building your idea to online business, we have many different levels and different activities. So at step one, and some of you, if you've attended some of our seminars and things, or have seen some of this that we've shown, we have something where we talk about the 10-day clarity planner. So we had this planner right here where we had 10 days of goals, and we were having you map out your idea, do a bunch of things. And we said, hey, why not do that as the voice experience? Could we build out the 10-day clarity experience based in voice? So right here, we took what we have over here for the 10-day clarity plan. We built it right here in True Reply. And Jose told me the script, what I should be doing, the main essentials I need of the script, and literally the different activities that we had from day one, day two, day three. Then I'll let Jose talk about the rest, but we went in here and we were able to detail the 10 days, and now you're going to be able to see some of the advanced things or some of the great things that are possible with this platform.
Yeah. Doc, we wanted to put this together for Build With Me for Doc. And, I had the great thought of, hey, we're going to do this anyway. We're going to do this live session. Why don't we just build it in the live session? We get, kind of two birds with one stone situation, right? Doc actually put together a great Notion template here. We have a Google Doc that is a Google Doc version of our voice application worksheet that you can get off of our homepage. But the Google Doc version is at True Reply. This is where you want to get your pen and pencils and your notebook. It's at truereply.com/worksheet doc. And that's just going to redirect you to a Google Doc that is basically a Google Doc version, our version of the great kind of step-by-step thing that Doc put together there.
It's 14 hours.
And if you go down there, it'll take you through every step. It guides you. It provides you some tips, some best practices, and that kind of stuff.
And I'll drop that in the chat right now as well.
Yeah, and it's really designed for, I'm sure, a lot of you folks, which is, all right, I want to bring voice into my business, into my service. How do I do it? This application worksheet is coming from the perspective of answering that question. Not only what should I be doing, it should help you answer, but also once you figure out what you want to do, the next few pages will help you how to plan it. And to make things simple, what you insert or what you set up in that worksheet is directly kind of, one-to-one transposable onto True Reply. So if you're doing it yourself, if you're using that starter tier, you can very easily use this as your step-by-step, kind of thing to launch that voice app, similar to how we just did in the first example. Or if you're in our agency, an enterprise tier, you just hand over that doc to your experience specialist and your voice app will be launched exactly how you've detailed. Anything else before we dive into setting up?
No. Edmund says, great call. He has to jump off. He's like, I will watch the replay. Don't forget to talk about Zaps for me. So Edmund, we got you. So we'll do this experience and then we'll go into that. So I think we're good. People are saying terrific. Thanks for the document. And yeah, we're ready to rock and roll.
Awesome. I'm just going to make a quick note here to remind us to talk about Zaps so we don't forget Evan.
Yep.
All right, so now let me share my screen. So what we're going to do now is we're going to move a little bit farther along that spectrum of ours, that spectrum of complexity, right? Because we're going to not use, let me switch over here. We're going to not use the device voice, but we're actually going to use Doc's voice. And this is going to give us an opportunity to hit on some kind of voice experience customization aspects of the platform. It'll make sense when we get there. So we're going to start here again. We're going to launch a voice experience. We're going to do a custom experience this time. We're going to call this Doc Williams. And we're just 10-day. I never do good typing on these live things, so forgive me.
No problem.
I've been typing since I was 9 years old when I first started programming, and sometimes I type on these live things, and it's like I just learned, just learned how to type yesterday.
Don't worry, the chat knows. I'm severely dyslexic. I'm always some people have to spell it out in chat. I'm like, don't you worry about it. You're doing great.
Oh yeah, that's my Achilles heel. Is spelling. So it's the one thing I'm horrible at, and it's bitten me in the butt more than once. But you know what? We all have our weaknesses and our strengths. So what I did here as I was talking is, we're not going to use device voice. We're going to use upload our audio, because what Doc did was he took that plan of his and he went through and he recorded all of this stuff for the 10-day clarity planner that you'll soon be able to access via the Alexa device and Google Assistant. So now, as you can see, the interface kind of changed a little bit, right? Before it was all text entry and we typed that stuff in and we moved forward. Now we're using audio files. So we're just going to select which files we want to upload. Bear with me when I find the 10-day clarity. And we're going to first, we're doing our welcome message. Doc recorded that. Doc, I'm going to play this. Let me know if you can hear it on your end.
Okay.
Welcome to the Clarity Program from Build With Me.
Everybody could hear that?
Yeah, that was good.
All right, I wasn't sure. All right, so that's our welcome message. We actually don't have a help message because we kind of missed that. So for now, I'm going to use the thank you message, but that's going to give us an opportunity to show off some updating features later. So I'm going to use the thank you message as my help message. We're going to move on. Now we've got our actual thank you message entry. Now we didn't do two different thank you messages, one for thank you and one for early exit. So I'm just going to choose the same one for both. No big deal, as I like to tell my girls, NBD. Now we've got our welcome. We've got the basics set up. Now we're going to go into the 10-day clarity plan. So I'm going to choose day 1 here. Then I'm going to add day 2. And this is what we're going to do, add day 3. Now we've got our 3 days. And at this point, what the platform tells you is, hey, we'll work with these 3 and then we'll add more from the advanced screen. So that's an exciting opportunity for us to dive into that more, we're moving farther along the spectrum, more advanced functionalities, more advanced setup of this. So we're going to move to next. So we've got our welcome messages, our thank you, and we've got the first 3 days of the clarity plan. We're going to add the next 7 and some other touch-ups via the dashboard. So I'm going to click next. We're going to call this Doc Williams. So you're going to be able to say, hey, Alexa, give me Doc Williams. Teach me, boy. It's going to be awesome. All right. We don't have a detailed description, but we can come back and edit this later. So for now, I'm just going to put in, and if you've got something, in mind you want to put in here, Doc?
Oh, you know what? Nah.
I put you on the spot.
What do you think? Listen, what do you think? I love it. I love it. Right. I think 10-day. That makes sense to me.
Business advice. We're going to leave that. I'm actually going to put lifestyle here too. And then we're going to choose our icon. And I actually just made a quick icon for Doc. So you'll see a smiling face come up whenever you launch this.
Nice.
And really start to give it that authentic, close the loop on authenticity and brand. And then, we're here again, just selecting some of these features that we selected before. We're moving much faster now because I'm not, stopping at each one. I'm going to put again, actually, what's your website?
Brandfactoryinc.com. And we just redid it, so it's awesome timing. Love it.
Awesome timing. So we're going to put that for our privacy and terms of service. If you've got a specific privacy page, you always want to link directly to that because similar how when you submit apps to the App Store on mobile devices where it's got to go through its review process, on Amazon and on Google, when you submit these, they go through the review process. So some of these aspects, if they're not correct, they'll just be flagged, which isn't a big deal. So don't freak out if your voice app gets flagged. It just means you got to tweak something and resubmit. So I'm going to log in with my account again here so that we can use my device to kind of test this out. And this one's going to take a little longer because we're uploading some media files. So we've got a little bit of time here. Any questions, Doc?
Cool. So a lot of times people are just saying, wow, they love seeing this. And by the way, I didn't want to put you on the spot or cause you to be more nervous, but I have been timing you how fast this process is. It's at 5 minutes right now. And so going through all this can be very quickly. The first one you did 15 minutes and answering all the questions. This one it's 5 minutes and 2 seconds. So again, this is a really, really good experience, especially ones that are trying to build out their brand and have a custom experience. A lot of people are saying this is great. Also, too, Dustin is talking about it's interesting expansion of your content ecosystem. Now, with him, he's a polymath. He's always talking about how he can go out and have all these different things. Could you talk about if you're trying to reach your audience in different ways? If you have a podcast, say for instance, because Dustin, I know you do, if you have a podcast, how could you also leverage voice from your podcast? Could you use snippets of the podcast per day? How would you decide to use it? What would you think?
Yeah, that is actually a great question, mostly because it's one of my own kind of personal passions with voice is kind of inventing a new category of content, right? Content in general is very passive. It's very consumption oriented, right? When we're listening to a podcast, we're just consuming that podcast. Watching a video, we're just watching that video. There's not engagement. And I think voice is giving us an opportunity to create not only a consumption, but an engagement together kind of experience when it comes to media. So I love the topic. So my thought is, I'll share anecdotally something we're doing with a publisher, a thought leader out of Seattle, Lindsay Jackson. She's got a couple of books coming along, and she's got a show coming along. And what True Reply will be powering for her is the Lindsay experience, which is going to be a dynamic voice experience that updates throughout her journey in this process, going from thought leader to author to then television personality and so on. And for example, on the book side, what she'll be building there is essentially she'll come on and read an excerpt of her book, share some insights, some reflections about what it was like to write that portion of the book. And then immediately right there, while you're engaged with hearing her voice, she's going to ask you, what did you think of this? Or have you had similar experiences? Or, that kind of stuff. And then you're going to be able to, via these devices, immediately provide and engage with that personality. And then she's going to leverage that. She's going to parlay that information, parlay that engagement for the next update. And I think that has synergies to how you might use this in a podcast, right? You might want to take a podcast, you might want to take a 2-minute snippet from your podcast and then ask for some feedback, right? Ask for some engagement from your users and from your fans.
Good times. I love it. As you're doing this too, Erica asks, can I, and maybe I don't want to spoil it, but she's asking, can I use this in email? So can someone interact? I'm guessing, Erica, you're saying, can someone sign up for this voice experience through email? I'm guessing that's what you mean, Erica. Jose, what do you think about that?
Yeah. So that's that. What I threw out before, right? We got those 3 check boxes. One of them is awareness, right? How can we? We've got our voice experience. We've made it easy for you to get it out there. It's out there. It's personalized. It's ready to go. Now, how are you going to drive users to that? Before we implemented what I'm about to describe, the process of attracting users to voice experiences was very cumbersome. It was very difficult to brand. It was like everything else. It had a lot of hurdles to get right. So what we've done is we've incorporated voice app links within our platform. And what that is it's basically a brandable, experience. For example, Doc, for this thing, we're putting together for him, he's going to be able to share a link that's alexa.app/Doc Williams. And when he shares that link, whether it is an email, on a website, on a Facebook ad, on a Google ad, wherever, however he links to that link, which will, if you're super curious how those links work, I'll show it to you. But really what it does is it reduces all friction when it comes to onboarding users into your voice experience. It really makes it easy. So you combine the brandability of that link, right, with how easy the funnel that's created to drive users into your voice experience is, you really close that loop, and it makes it, email, newsletters. It makes it super easy. Our platform even creates QR codes. So you can take those QR codes and you can put them in those emails, websites, you can print them out. You can really, for like agents and brokers in real estate, you can, really proliferate your voice experience using those QR codes and web addresses and that kind of stuff. So there's tons of ways that we've made it simpler to leverage something like email to drive users into your voice experience.
Good times. No, this is people loving that. This is good. This is good. Thank you.
So awesome. So we've got our Doc Williams app is ready to test. And again, what we did is we set up the welcome message, we set up a thank you message, and we set up the first 3 steps of the clarity plan. Now, there's a couple of things missing from there that's more advanced functionalities that we're going to touch on. So I'm going to spin this up just so that you can hear what that initial, thing sounds like. But then we're going to skip ahead. We're going to move forward and dive into the back end to finish this up. So let's echo. Open Doc Williams.
Welcome to the Clarity Program from Build With Me.
Exit. So that was that, welcome message from Doc. It comes right up when you ask Doc when you open up the Doc Williams app now. But let's get this more interesting. Let's wrap this up here. So I'm going to move forward. We're going to order this. Give that a quick second to process. It's going to take us to our launch pad, which we're just going to ignore for now. We're going to launch this later. And now we're going to go, here's my Doc Williams app. And I'm going to go in here and I'm actually going to manage because, we only have 3 days there. We've got a few, we've got some intelligence things to add. So what you're seeing here is now you're moving across that spectrum. This is now more like your advanced management of your voice app. And you've got some basics here. This is how you manage all of the aspects of your voice app. So you've got your basic setup, what it's called. You've got something called response handling, which I'm not going to ruin. I'm going to come back to that in a second. You've got your platform setup. So this is a lot of the stuff we just entered on the front end side. We've got your basic messaging. So that was that welcome message, the help. This is how you can manage it. You can upload new audio files simply by clicking the upload button. You can switch it to text. You can kind of easily navigate that back and forth. We've got our engagement plan, and we've got some other things here, which I'm going to leave as teasers for the next step of this discussion. And I know we're running long here, Doc, but let's try to hit this if it's cool with you.
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. So what we're going to do is, we got those additional steps to add. So let's do that now. We've got step 4. We've got step 5. We've got step 6, I think. Yep, 6 comes after 5. We got step.
That's what I think. Maybe.
We've got step 8. Happy to field any questions while I load this up. But basically, what you're seeing is how easy it is to load and change things, which we're actually going to have to do a little bit of here. So you're going to see what that's like. So we've got our 10 days loaded up. And what you see here on the first 3, you'll notice that it did a little bit of transcription. Now, that's not meant to be kind of a one-to-one. It's really just meant to make it easier for you to identify, which step have which audio files on them. If you want to hear them, just click the button.
Welcome, Builder. It's Dave.
And you can kind of hear it. So we've got to add one more, which is actually our which day question. And I'm going to explain in a second why we're adding that. But first, I'm going to reorder that because I want that to be my first one. And then I'm going to save all this stuff. So that's going to take a second because we're loading up a bunch of files at once. So what we want this to ultimately be like, this experience, is something along the lines of Alexa, ask Doc Williams for day 1, right? So day 1 of that clarity plan. And then you'll be able to say, ask Doc Williams for day 2. So the way we're going to enable that ask functionality is 2 ways. Two aspects of this voice app. The first is having that first step there, the which day. If you can see my screen, that first step, clarity, which day. That's just going to ask, hey, which day do you want to do today, right? So That's going to enable us to do some response handling and enable the ask functionality. So we can say, ask Doc Williams for this day, right? The other thing that gives you is if a user doesn't say ask Doc Williams, but instead just opens it up directly, Alexa, open Doc Williams. It gives us a way to control the flow, right, of a user's experience. So we've got all of our audio files loaded up, and actually something I want to do here before I forget is I just want to switch this. So Doc, stop me if I'm going too fast or if I skip over anything, all right? Because I tend to get too excited and move too fast.
This is good.
But what we're going to do now is we're actually going to manage, depending on which channels you're leveraging, which we didn't talk a lot about, like channels. So TrueReply is kind of is built on the idea that we've got this core platform in the bottom. That's your UI, that's your intelligence, that's a lot of the stuff you've been experiencing during this call. And then we plug channels into it. And a channel might be Alexa, might be Google, might be Samsung, might be telephone. And depending which channel you're leveraging or your account is enabled for, you get different types of functionalities that you can configure on a step-by-step granular basis. So we're on Alexa. So one of the things I can control is I can click on a particular entry like I did, and I can say whether or not I want this step to be to collect a response and then do something with that response, right? So it's important for this Doc Williams experience because we're going to collect a response on the first one, but to have that flow of ask Doc Williams for day one to work right, we're not really going to collect, we're not going to give you day one, at least the way we set this up right now. We're not going to give you day one and then ask you for something. So we're going to turn off and make sure that the rest are not collecting responses. And you'll see exactly how that experience manifests on the platform side. So I've made those updates. I made sure I'm collecting no responses on all of the clarity steps, but I'm collecting a response on that first one. Because that's really where I'm saying, hey, what day do you want to do? All right, so I've updated that, and now I'm going to go over to response handling. Let me update this. It tells me I have to update this page. Let's do that real quick. Okay, so what you're seeing here now, response handling is where things get interesting, right? When users are interacting with your voice experience, we've got something we call the real-time analysis and validation engine. We call it the RAV engine. Basically, it's what enables us to do a lot of things we're talking about. It's what takes a user's input and whatever they've responded and decides what to do with it, how it's going to, what it's going to do with it. So you manage all that, the RAV engine via this response handling. And you can see, we've got all of our steps set up here. But because we're only collecting response on the first one, I've got this ability to set up response handling on this first one. And this is how we're going to really enable that ask functionality, right? So we've got 10 days, which means you can ask for any one of those days at any point in time. So let's set that up real quick. And happy to answer any questions as I'm typing this. But what I'm doing here is now I'm going to start with day one, right? And one, if you have to think about this a little bit, which is why we've got our experienced specialists always on hand to help you. But it's like, all right, how many different ways can someone say one, right? So we're going to try to capture some of those ways. So they might say day one, they might say the first day. And then Alexa and Google can be a little finicky about how they hear one, right? It could be one the word or one the number. So we try to accommodate that as well. So what we've put in here is one first, one, the number one, and then first as one ST. And it's just separated by commas. So you can very quickly set this up, if you've got a whole bunch of possible candidates for redirection. So if we hear that word, we're going to take people to day one. And now we're going to do the same. So what you see here, it dropped those in. So now we know if for this question, anyone says day one or one or first day or anything like that, it's going to go to step two, which is our day one for the clarity plan. So now I'm going to do this real quick for the rest. Happy to answer any questions while I'm doing this.
There's just two that came in, but they just as reminders. They're just asking, because the variations of one and everything, could this work for feedback for like a speech pathologist or teaching a different language, because you have the variations there? Would it be could it catch how someone's enunciating a word and then give them feedback or understand, like, do you mean this? Could a speech therapist or someone use something like that?
That is a very interesting question, and I'm laughing because TrueReply actually, long before it became the platform it is now, it actually started as a side project of mine to measure English fluency and score on English fluency, and then allow people to basically test up, right, to learn their English fluency and then improve their score. So I laughed at that question because of that, and the answer is definitely yes. And it's definitely, what number am I up to? 6. Is yes. You can definitely use it as a way to measure English fluency. And here's the interesting thing. On Amazon Alexa and, hold on, I wanna make sure I pick the right day. On Amazon Alexa and Google Assistant, when you're responding, contrary to popular belief, we don't get like your audio, right? We don't get to hear your voice. We only get what Google or Amazon tells us you said. So that works a little bit less for that scenario. Like, it's not a one-to-one, but that's a big reason we actually support telephone, is a lot of our healthcare use cases and this type of fluency situation is because on telephone, you can create this experience exactly like you've seen today, but it'll be accessible via phone. And the added value of doing that via phone is, sorry, I'm losing track on which step I'm up to. I think I'm up to. The value of doing it via phone is that you get all of the audio recordings. And it's having the audio recordings that really enable the platform's intelligence to measure, you know what I mean, do that scoring on that English fluency, but also lets you as a speech therapist, which, by the way, my wife is a speech therapist, helps you hear what is actually said, and take some non-mechanical actions, non-automated actions.
That's very interesting. Oh, well, so this is perfect. We and by the way, this was not scripted. We did not talk about this beforehand. This is
that's why I laughed as soon as you asked that question. That's a great question.
That is really interesting. So actually, we had one person that teaches different languages, and then we have a speech therapist actually messaging and wanting to know that. So of course, we'll clip this section so you can look at this. Make sure to reach out to TrueReply because there's so much that you can be doing right there. And Make Money is talking about this is great info. This is really great, everyone. Thank you so much for watching and hanging in there. And as we're completing this section, but this is gold. This is a really advanced platform. There's so many different things that you can be taking your business or your experience with your users or customers to the next level. So remember, reach out, find out how you can be using this. And by the way, we'll have more about this later on, but this is going to be excellent. Don't mean to distract you. You got a lot going on. I see a lot of boxes that I'm not involved in.
We're all done. So what you allowed me the time to do is just set up all of the potential ways someone can ask for a particular day. I did 1 through 10 in the time that we had that quick chat. And we can see, if they sit day 10, it's going to go to our day 10. Which happens to be step 11 because we've got that first step. But now that it's all set up, we can actually test it out. So let's do Echo. Ask Doc Williams for day 1. Uh-oh. Echo. Ask Doc Williams for day 1. Hope my internet didn't go. Can you still see me?
Yeah, I got
Welcome, Fielder. It's day 1 to gain clarity. Write down your idea and why it's important. Thank you for joining the Clarity program.
So that was it. Now I can ask for any day. I can ask for day 5. I can ask for day 6, day 7. So you can progress folks through that process very easily. You can manage this and update everything you see, everything I've touched today in real time, automatically, just like you saw me update this stuff in real time and get this set up for Doc Williams. Now, there's a couple of things Doc and I are gonna have to work on to really make this perfect. We want that welcome message to be a little bit different, some things like that. But the beauty of this is, and this is what we discuss a lot with our customers and reflect in a lot of our storytelling, is we make voice experiences a creative process for you, not a technical one. Right. So you can focus on the creative side. You can focus on, how does this sound? What do I want to say there? Does this sound better here than there? Like, I can move these things around, go into the voice experience, test it out, and see if I like something better a different way very easily. But what kind of the cherry on top is what you just saw us create for Doc Williams right here. And what would you say, Doc? It probably took 5 minutes on the front end and maybe another 7 to 10 minutes on the back end. But what you saw us create with our platform, the alternative to doing that via an agency or engineering or even some of our competitor platforms, it's night and day. How quickly you can do it, how easily you can do it, how quickly and easily you can get the results you want, and then how easy it is to just hit the launch button and get it going.
Yeah, that's it. It's really, listen, Make Money's talking about, he says, I only want Doc in my house when I click the notification. So that's exactly right. Yeah, I mean, these experiences, it's when you were showing it everything on the screen, there's just so much that you can be doing. And oh my goodness, I think also too in the chat, the ones that are doing things with mindset, different feedback that you could be having with your audience, with your customers. I really think this is, like you were saying, it builds upon that brand. If I'm not, it allows me to be top of mind having things like this. So even though I'm not pushing sales necessarily, if I'm giving great resources or I'm adding, because you were talking about it, I can add multiple days or I can add other things. This can really be ongoing for people to have that connection to your brand long term. So this is awesome to see. Awesome.
100%. Last thing I want to touch on, and then I'm happy to answer any more questions before we wrap it up. Let's talk about Zaps. We don't want to forget about our buddy Evan. Was it Evan?
Yeah.
It was Evan.
Edmund. Yep.
Edmund. We don't want to forget about Edmund. So I've gone back into Jen's plumbing feedback, right? So let's say, I've got my questions here. And again, you can do this with any experience. I'm just going to use Jen's plumbing feedback because it aligns itself a little bit more to Zaps than the Clarity one, because we're not asking questions there really. But we've asked some basic questions here for Jen. And we want to open these questions up to our CRM, or maybe a Google Sheet is a great way to leverage this. Is just you build your voice experience, and every time someone answers a question, it dumps into a Google Sheet. Mind you, we did not touch the huge landscape that is our data access, that is our data analysis, that is our reporting, because all the data, all the engagement data of your voice application is available via this platform. But putting that aside, let's say I want to pull these questions, anyone that answers my customer feedback or Jen's customer feedback, we want to throw it into a Google Sheet. It's as easy as coming in here, selecting this box, clicking make available to Zap, make available to Zap, and make available to Zap. Now I click over to integrations. Oh wait, I got to save that. I'm going to hit the save button. So now I've basically opened up these questions to be available to Zapier, right? So that means that you can have an experience that's like, maybe it is the Clarity plan, right? But maybe in the Clarity plan, we give them an option to leave some feedback. Maybe that's, step 13 is at any point they can leave feedback. So for step 13, you want to open just that up to Zapier. You can also do that as well with it this way. Now we go over to integrations, and now we can see all the ways that our platform can integrate with your different systems. Now, if you know Zapier, this isn't it. We're just making it. We've put together the most common recipes for you. Dump it to Google Sheet, dump it to ActiveCampaign, dump it to HubSpot, that kind of stuff. But with Zapier, you've got over 2,000 apps. So you can dump a voice experience and the responses of voice experiences to any of those apps. You simply click use this Zap. You go through the process of setting up, your Zap, and your questions that you've opened up on this step will then be reflected there, right? And you don't even need data behind those because we provide you with some sample data so that you can map those correctly to the right fields in Google Sheets or the right field in HubSpot or your CRM.
Beautiful. Oh, I love that. Easy, really easy to manage right there. I thought it was going to be a little bit more complicated than that, but really just highlighting it and then going to integrations, you're good to go.
Yep.
That is awesome. No, this is going to be huge. And just so some of you know, we've been talking about it. If you're in some of the different sessions that we've been having, we're going to be talking about a competition with creating different experiences with voice, different things with no code coming up. So stay tuned. Make sure that you're part of the newsletter or you're subscribed to this channel because we're going to be announcing all of those things in the coming days and weeks. But this is a huge thing that you can be having in your arsenal right here, and it allows you to take action right now. It's just so much information right there. Understanding what people are doing, the sample. Oh my goodness, there's just a lot. So remember, in the chat, because this is just scratching the surface, write in the comments if you have questions. Remember, when this gets saved, this is going to come up. So if you have more questions about voice, about what True Reply can do, make sure that you message us. Or I should also say this: where can good people find you at? What platform should they find you at?
You can find me anywhere, really, by Jose Cotto, either on LinkedIn, on Twitter. My preferred platform for this kind of stuff is definitely LinkedIn. So I think it's linkedin.com/in/Jose-Cotto. And we're going to be sharing something post-show. So I'll actually provide all of my links there as well as soon as that's ready to go out to everyone who enjoyed this build with me.
Awesome. Now everyone's saying, thank you so much. This is fantastic information. John, thank you so much for coming in, by the way, today. Make money. You were here the whole time. My goodness. Janet, Erica, holding it down over there. Always making sure everyone's doing what they're supposed to be doing on YouTube on that side. We appreciate it all the time. Make sure also, too, I see a couple people jumping in. Yes, thank you so much. We got people from Twitch, chat, Periscope, D-Live. And by the way, if anyone's talking about crypto and everything, I know why you guys are over there on D-Live. So thanks so much. John saying great content. So again, everybody, thank you, Jose. Thank you for making yourself available and answering the questions of the people. So thank you so much for being here.
It was my pleasure. It was a whole lot of fun, and I'm excited for some of the things we're going to be doing next together. So keep an eye out, everyone.
All right. Thank you, everyone, and we'll talk to you soon.
Take care.